Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here. Got another midweek chat for you guys, and this is something that I've been meaning to talk about for a long time, and I've talked about it just a little bit here and there in previous videos and even on the Sausage Factory, but I've just never, gotten around to actually really talking about it in depth, and that is my love of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, of the series Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and to a lesser degree, the movie as well. But to begin properly, we have to go all the way back to when the movie was coming out, which was, the early 90s. And I remember hearing about the movie, probably on MTV or something like that, and just thinking, by title alone, it sounded like something that I wanted to see. I mean, a movie called Buffy the Vampire Slayer just brings forth these images of, a horror comedy, kind of, not taking itself too seriously, a little maybe hip and trendy, just kind of a fun movie. And the way that it was marketed at the time, it was very WB-ish before there was a WB. And, of course, it starred Luke Perry, who was just the nation's preeminent bad boy on 90210, this, sideburns, brooding bad boy that everybody loved. And the reason why I wear sideburns even to this day, because sideburns are the trademark of all brooding bad boys, and women love brooding bad boys, and I am a brooding bad boy. So, yeah. And it starred Christy Swanson, who I thought was super cute. So, anyway, the movie comes out, the movie kind of tanks, critics don't like it, and it more or less goes away. I see it on VHS when it comes out on video, and I think it's pretty fun, nothing great, nothing spectacular, just kind of a fun, silly vampire movie with, a pretty cool soundtrack, and it just a fun movie, bottom line. It definitely wasn't the movie that Joss Whedon wrote, that Joss Whedon wanted to make. But it was still a fun movie. Fast forward to the late 90s now, and we have this network called the WB, which is targeted toward young people. Young, hip, trendy people. Sort of the Gen Y kind of people. And I hear that they're going to premiere a TV show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And even though I was kind of, I loved movies, I watched a lot of movies, I love to talk about movies, I wasn't really savvy to, I wasn't overly movie savvy. So, but I knew in the back of my mind that it was like, you're taking this movie that kind of failed and flopped, and you're gonna turn into a TV series. It was unprecedented. It's still sort of, you just don't, this movie flopped, but we're going to turn it into a TV series. You don't see a Geely TV series. You don't see a Showgirls TV series, although that would be awesome. They'd have to do that on like Showtime or something, or HBO. But I would watch a Showgirls TV series. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, they're going to do a TV show based on pretty much a failed movie that flopped at the box office. And but I think at the time, the WB was fledgling. It was just sort of one failed show after the other, and basically, they couldn't really pick and choose. So I remember sitting down to watch the first episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I kind of liked it. I was a little disappointed in who they cast as Buffy. It's Sarah Michelle Gellar. She wasn't who I pictured as being Buffy. I didn't quite think she was, as hot as Christy Swanson. But I was okay. I was okay with it. And that first season, which was just a handful of episodes, it was a mid-season pickup, so it was only a few episodes, and some of them were rough, but there was something about the show. It was more about the characters and less about Buffy fighting vampires. And I was also a little disappointed too, because I was like, episode 2, I was like, wait, she's not killing vampires in episode 2? She's killing other monsters and demons and creatures? Wait a minute, what? But she's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Isn't she supposed to be killing vampires in every single episode that they do? That's how sort of narrow-minded I was at the time. I was a little disappointed by that. But it was really season 2 that the show really found its footing and came into its own, and the characters just sort of came alive, and the writing was just, I thought, outstanding, and the character arcs, everything about it. I fell in love with the show. Season 2, I fell in love with the show. And I mean, they had me hook, line, and sinker. Loved season 2. Loved season 3. Loved the characters. Loved everything about it. Loved the relationships, the dynamics of the relationships. The fact that, even at the time, again, not being overly sort of, and this is not being overly sort of, what's the word, sort of reading deeper than, just what's going on the surface. I sort of understood that, the monsters and the demons and the vampires in the show, they were kind of using them as metaphors for, the real life obstacles that young people, encounter growing up and have to overcome growing up. And I thought that was really cool too. By the time season 4 came along and the Scuba Gang entered college, I was entering college at the same time. And I kind of tuned out because, a couple of reasons. Like I said, I was going into college. It was a whole new, a whole new landscape, a whole new milieu for me. And most people were, they had their crush on, it was either like Buffy or Cordelia. I always really liked Willow, Allison Hannigan's character. I always thought she was just super cute. She was supposed to play like the quiet, nerdy girl, but I just thought she had this sort of, this clumsy, pixie-ish kind of nature that I really liked. And then, of course, she became a lesbian, and I was a little disappointed in that. And I kind of tuned out. And the show, it did a couple more seasons on the WB, and then it jumped to another network and did a couple of seasons and went off the air. Fast forward like 4 years. I get out of college, and, I sort of take that period of, a few months off just to kind of decompress. After, 12 straight years of school, the summer off, and boom, into 4 straight years of college. I mean, pretty much 16 straight years of school. I was burned out. By my senior year of college, I was completely and utterly burned out. And probably for the next 6 months after I graduated, that was my, like I said, decompress, rest, relax, long needed vacation. I don't remember really any of that time. I'm sure I'd watched a lot of movies, probably read a lot of books. Did a lot of good stuff in that time. I really don't remember though. And then it was like, okay, now it's time to enter the adult world, the real world. Let's make up some resumes, let's print out some resumes, and let's go find a job. And that job search lasted about that job search lasted well over a year. And it was a really kind of depressing time for me because, let me preface this by saying, I lived in a very, very small town then. And there weren't a whole lot of jobs in that town. I was either underqualified or vastly overqualified. And I wasn't a relative of anybody's. I wasn't really, the best friend of somebody, the nepotism that usually thrives in small towns and probably big towns too. I didn't have any of that really, to help me. So, I was really, I went on a million job interviews, handed out a ton of resumes, and, just nothing really came of it. And I was really depressed. A lot of my friends, they had already, they'd gotten jobs, they'd moved on, they had money, they had, lives. And, I had no money, I had no life, I was living at home. I was watching movies and reading books. And although, I mean, that sounds pretty awesome, I mean, that was it. That was sort of the totality of my existence at that point, you know, because I didn't have money to do other things, and I probably wasn't a very, you know, probably wasn't very nice to be around at that time because I was just a sad sack, you know. So yeah, it was a sad, depressing time for me, and that was when I rediscovered, I should say, Buffy the Vampire Slayer on FX. And, you know, I caught up on all the episodes that I'd already seen. I watched all the seasons, you know, from season 4, you know, on to season 7. And what they would do is they'd play 4 episodes of Buffy every day. 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. And the 2 in the afternoon were always the 2 that they played the previous day. So I'd see, you know, if they were 2 really good episodes, I'd watch them over again. But pretty much for the next few months, you know, I mean, I watched every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer from beginning to end, and then you just over again. I've probably seen every episode of Buffy at this point, probably at least 3 times. But I watched, you know, the complete thing, literally. It seems like when I first discovered it on FX, it was literally on that first season. So I was able to watch it from the first season all the way to the 7th season, to the final episode, and I'll be perfectly honest, and this may sound, you know, I don't know how this is going to sound, but that was like the high point of my day, was watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm not kidding you. I really got into the show at that point, and I absolutely loved, you know, again, the same things that I loved about the show, you know, 6 years prior, when it was first running. You know, I was loving and admiring again, but on a deeper level at this point. And it was, you know, it sort of, you know, it came back. The show came back to me at kind of a dark time in my life, and it helped me through, you know, that dark period. You know, I really enjoyed. You know, at that point, the show had been on. I think it ended in like 2002. So it was right around the time that I was getting out of college that it ended. And, you know, I remember going online, and, you know, they were talking about, you know, another Buffy movie, and they were talking about, I remember, you know, other series, you know, focusing on Buffy characters that just never happened. And there for a brief while, they were talking about remaking Buffy the Vampire Slayer into a movie with all different characters and stuff, which just sounded awful to me. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the series. I love all the characters on that series. I love all the relationships on that series, all the character arcs. There's so many awesome episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So many that come to mind. There's the musical episode, Once More with Feeling, that's great. There's the episode, I think it's called Hush, where these demons steal everybody's voices in the town of Sunnydale. That was really cool. I love the relationship between Buffy and Faith. I love the relationship between Buffy and Angel. I really love the relationship between Buffy and Spike. I thought that was just a great, really, you know, again, they're talking about, you know, real world stuff. You know, Buffy was in a horrible relationship with Spike. And, you know, a lot of women find themselves in horrible relationships with a character, you know, not unlike that. So, yeah, like, you know, like I said, and like I've mentioned before in videos, you know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer means a lot to me on a lot of different levels, because, like I said, it came to me, you know, I rediscovered it at a dark period of my life, and it kind of helped me through. It helped me through that. You know, it made my days a little bit brighter, and I'll always love the show. Joss Whedon, to me, is a genius. I really liked Angel. I didn't like it as much as Buffy, but I liked it. I loved Firefly, loved Serenity. The Avengers I thought was pretty good, but I mean, you know, pretty good. Serenity I think is great. Loved Firefly. Thought Angel was great. Buffy, of course, just in a league all its own. Awesome series. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are there any movies or TV shows that kind of got you guys through a dark period of your lives? What do you guys think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series and the movie? What do you think of Joss Whedon? What do you think of Firefly, Angel, Serenity? Any of those. So anyway, I'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching. And until next time, you guys take it easy. Peace.